got the coffee, and we're just gonna hang out, chat. How are you? How are you? Let me know. Let me know how you are. I like hearing how people are being. How are you doing? How are you being? Nescafe Classico. It's classic, you know. The gold is I think the gold is slightly better, very slightly better, but I always just go with the Classico. It's a lot cheaper. And it's still just really good. I like it. So let's start out with Aesop's fable. We're not going to solve anything. I don't have any magical advice to give you guys. We're just chilling. The Gnat and the Lion. I'm not afraid of you, once said the gnat to the lion. You may be stronger than I, but I can conquer you, and all your cruel claws and sharp teeth will avail you nothing against my sting. Let us fight it out, here and now. Having sounded his buzzing challenge, he at once attacked the lion, whom he so enraged by stinging the most sensitive parts of his nose, eyes, and ears, that the beast roared in anguish and maddened with pain, tore himself cruelly with his claws. All the attempts of the lion to crush the gnat were in vain, and the insect returned again and again to the charge. At last, the poor beast lay exhausted and bleeding upon the ground. The gnat, hovering over the spot and sounding a note of triumph, happened to come in the way of the web of a spider, which, slight as it was enough to stop him in his career. His efforts to escape only fixed him more firmly in the toils, and he who had vanquished the lion became the prey of the spider. That's a nice fable, right? It's I just feel like that always happens. You get excited. You feel like you're on top of the world, you're winning, and then you just do something stupid. Or you get caught in some spider web, humbles you, brings you back down to earth. Or to your death, in the case of the gnat. Poor gnat. Okay, next I want to read from this. This is one of the greatest books of all time, truly. The World According to Mr. Rogers. Important things to remember. It's just Mr. Rogers quotes. This one is deep within us, no matter who we are, there lives a feeling of wanting to be lovable, of wanting to be the kind of person that others like to be with. And the greatest thing we can do is to let people know that they are loved and capable of loving. Mr. Rogers, man. Genius. What a genius. I love that guy. I have read this book many times. I got this when I was in high school. And I've read it through it, many, many times since then. And until recently, when I started getting more into psychology and stuff, I didn't understand how much depth there is to when he's talking about feelings and stuff. There's actually there's a lot of truth in what he's saying, and a lot of importance when he's talking about being able to discuss our emotions calmly and stuff like that. So it's a great book. But it made me think about how, so I'd read that book, so many times, and just never kind of caught on to the feeling stuff until recently, when I had been kind of gained the foreknowledge or the pre-wisdom that I needed to be able to understand what he was saying and to grasp what he was saying, at least from a different perspective. And that happens a lot. We see that a lot. I feel like it's almost pointless to just give somebody advice, because if they don't have the pre-wisdom yet to understand the advice, then it's just kind of pointless. It doesn't mean you can't give it. It can be fun to talk things through and try and solve problems and stuff. But so I made a note here, why I hate nonfiction. And it's basically like one of the reasons why I like doing videos like this. Just kind of talking, not I write like essays and stuff, and I almost hate doing it, and this is exactly why. So, number one, because nonfiction has to make sense. It has to be reasonable. It has to give answers or state truths. But the truth is, life is far more mystery than answers. Life is often completely illogical and often makes no sense at all, at least from a human perspective. And so like we give this advice and we tell these truths and we write essays and we philosophize and we try and figure stuff out. But like a lot of stuff is just completely illogical. And then you end up having this stuff where people just say illogical stuff and you have a whole bunch of BS. You have like 95% of the information on the internet is probably just useless BS. And maybe 5%, maybe 0.5% is like actually true, good, useful information that, I don't know. To me, beauty is a lot more powerful. And so is conversation, just relationship. Obviously, this is just monologue, it's not dialogue, but anyway. So then I in this note, which I haven't turned into an essay yet, I also wrote, far better is the story, which can reveal truths without making sense, without being logical, without giving answers. Just like Aesop's fable, right? It sort of makes sense, but there's no like rational reason why the gnat fell into the spider's web. It just happened, There wasn't really a reason for it. It wasn't because the gnat was cocky or because he was being a jerk to the lion. It just happened. And even better stories for that are the Brothers Grimm, the original Brothers Grimm stories. Some of these stories are just it's like almost just nonsense. It's like, what is going on here? Like the weirdest stuff happens, but they're cool stories. And they don't have to make sense because they're stories, I mean, they have to make some degree of sense, but they don't have to be super logical. They don't have to give answers or teach lessons or tell truths. So stories cool in that way because it lines up more with the way life is, I think. And then the number 2 reason why I hate nonfiction I put was because the truths that are meant to be revealed to us will be in their own time. This is what I was talking about with the Mr. Rogers stuff. I read Mr. Rogers' quotes on feelings over and over again in my 20s and didn't grasp them at all until I read them again in my 30s and had developed the foundational wisdom that I needed in order to understand them. Stories, on the other hand, provide many levels of truth and revelation, and the one each person needs to hear is delivered to them through the story. So like that Aesop's fable, I actually I did not plan this, talking about this stuff, so it's kind of interesting that I brought both of these up, but like, I just wanted to read something that was interesting at the beginning, so that's why I had this out, but, basically like a little kid is going to get a different truth out of this story than an adult, right? Or like different people are going to get different things out of this story. But the thing about a story is that it has different truths and different meanings and different interpretations and ways of perceiving it. Whereas a lot of times like an essay or nonfiction doesn't, it's very linear and maybe even more abstract, whereas stories, there's substance to them. So that's why I don't like nonfiction. I don't really like doing essays, even though I write them a decent amount, because I always think about stuff and I think, wow, that's interesting. I should write that for my future self so I don't forget it. And I'm like, well, I should write an essay about it. And then I'm like, well, if I wrote an essay about it, then I should post it on my website. And so that's how it goes. But so they just kind of come out of me. But like, I don't ever set out to write an essay. I set out to write stories when I do write. Drinking coffee, talking. just hanging out. If you like this kind of video, just like give this video a like, you know, let me know that you want to see more of this kind of stuff. And no. We'll do another fable, and then we'll do another Mr. Rogers. I'm just skipping through. Ooh, that's pretty. The Fox and the Crow. Oh, that's a pretty common one, I think, right? Or at least there's a song by, what's the band? The Fox and the Crow. They have that song, and they have another song that's really good that I really like. What is that band? I can't think of them right now. I don't know. They're a cool band. Anyway, maybe I'll think of it. But The Fox and the Crow. A crow, having stolen a piece of cheese from a cottage window, flew with it to a tree that was some way off. A fox, drawn by the smell of the cheese, came and sat at the foot of the tree and tried to find some way of making it his. "Good morning, dear Miss Crow," said he. "How well you are looking today. What handsome feathers yours are, to be sure. Perhaps, too, your voice is as sweet as your feathers are fine. If so, you are really the queen of birds." The crow, quite beside herself to hear such praise, at once opened a wide beak to let the fox judge of her voice, and so let fall the cheese. The fox snapped it up and exclaimed, "Ah ha ha! My good soul, learn that all who flatter have their own ends in view. That lesson will well repay you for a bit of cheese." That one's got a little bit more clear of a lesson, I guess, like beware the flatterer. But even still, like, I don't think that was the lesson that my brain would have naturally taken from that, except that the fox said it at the end. I think maybe the lesson I would have taken from it more was not beware the flatterer, but like beware of your own pride, you know, beware of like wanting to show off. And yeah, I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of like, that could be a very good explanation for why a lot of people in Germany in the, what was it, 20th century, whenever the Holocaust happened, 1930s, why they allowed such atrocities to happen, you know, like everybody had their reasons, you know, like some people, I mean, there were some good people who spoke against the Nazis or tried to help people who were being persecuted. But a lot of people just let it happen. They didn't speak up or whatever. And, you know, a lot of time that's just like either I'm covering my back, or a lot of times it can be, well, this person, like the Nazis, they flattered a lot of people, you know, they said like the Jews are terrible and you're the better race or whatever, you know, it's kind of flattering, and like the Jews are the reason, blame them, they're the reason for all your problems, and yeah, I don't know, like I feel like it would be easy to kind of, I guess thinking about it like from just a distant perspective, it doesn't seem like that would make sense. But if you think about it from like one person to another, you know, like a Nazi trying to convince somebody in a community to do something, like they could easily just use flattery to get people to make bad decisions, or think like, oh, I really like this guy, I kind of want to help him out, he seems like a good guy. And then meanwhile, he's like getting you to turn in your Jewish neighbors to be sent to concentration camps. I don't know. So, I think we got like, let's do like 5 more minutes. Let's end it there. We will end it there. And then in the next one, we'll go over, I'll give you another thought or two. I always have thoughts and I like sharing them, but I don't like making them essays and truths and crap like that. So I do have a lot of short stories that I write and a lot of poems and and a novel that I'm working on. But as far as like the poems and the short stories go, you can check those out on my website. I also have some music up there if you're into music. It's just krite.com. It'll be in the description. Check that stuff out. See if you like it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will. But if not, whatever, subscribe, hang out. Peace.